A Correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease has been chatting to a number of voters, many of them first-timers who cast ballots at the Consulate General in New York. He also managed to speak to South Africa's ambassador to the United Nations and his wife. Let's take a look.
Very big, important day, 25 years of democracy. You've come out to vote. Just speak about the significance of this day.
It's absolutely important. I'm hoping that every South African in New York, in America, is going to take this opportunity to come out here and vote. This is an important day for us. If it wasn't for the freedom that a lot of people died for, they sacrificed for, we wouldn't be here today.
Ambassador, your thoughts at this time?
Well, it has been a journey. 25 years is a journey. First time I was voted was in Tokyo, this day, 25 years ago. Now I'm voting in New York, the other side of the world. It's a fantastic day, as Flo was saying. It's a day that I think we should cherish, we should protect. It's a day that opens up opportunities for all of us, freedom, fundamental freedoms for South African society to work together. And we abroad are very delighted that Minister Sisulu government opened up missions for us to cast this democratic right. It's a constitutional right. And we're very grateful that the President, the ministers allowed us to equally join South Africa in exercising this democratic right.
For me, I've been very closed off in my own world, like just go to school, direct your own future and everything. But I've realized that I cannot remove politics from my everyday living. You know, it affects everything. It affects the economy. It affects the status of the country, jobs, everything. So it is very important for me to vote. So that's why I've decided, you know what, I cannot sit back and just watch and try to do my own thing. So that's why I decided to vote.
Why did you come out today and sort of speak to the significance as we mark the 25th anniversary?
You're going to make me emotional now. You know, we remember the 27th of April, 1994. And everything that happened for South Africa to reach that point. It's a tremendous privilege to be able to take part in the democratic process again today. And no matter how far away you are or how long you're there, you're still a South African. Well, a quarter of a century still makes us a young democracy, and I know that we're a growing democracy with growing pains still. And I watch our progress, its ups and its downs. I see us taking a variety of different paths. Some of those paths are working out better than others. I feel confident about where we're going right now.
It was very exciting, a little nervous, but like super exciting. I mean, it's an honor, it's a pleasure, you know, to be able to be here to vote, you know. I'm not home, but to have the honor to be able to do that, it's been amazing.
To discuss this further, I'm joined by SABC correspondent in New York, Sherwin Bryce-Pease. Sherwin, that basically watching you and just going through your social media this morning on Twitter, you were giving us minute-by-minute updates of exactly what was going on. We saw your pictures on social media after you voted. Tell us about the slow start, you know, just the slow start to the vote taking place this morning.
Yeah, and you referred in one of those intros, Lulu, that some over 80 people had voted. It's now up to over 300. And of course, New York, the Consulate General here in New York in Manhattan, is one of 4 locations across the United States, probably more than any other country where South Africa has diplomatic missions abroad. There are 4 stations, essentially polling stations, where South Africans can turn up if, of course, they're registered correctly, they filled in that VEC10 form so that they appear on the IEC list that has been provided to these various voting stations around the world. As you mentioned, some concern from some voters about 1 envelope and 2 envelopes. To tell us more about some of the concerns, some of the obstacles that they're experiencing, I am joined by Mavis Watley. She is a vice consul at the South African Consulate General, but also she's overseeing the election process here today. Mavis, a long day for you. It started quite early this morning. How are you doing, and how is this process unfolding for you?
Okay, we, the team, we are doing good, and there is excitement. The observers also are here. We are now at 325 voters, 280, maybe less, to go until 11:30. So we are very excited, and the vote will be sealed in the boxes to be couriered to South Africa.
Right, that's the final thing that you will do today. Once everyone has voted, or once the cutoff has been reached at 11:30 p.m. tonight, the ballots in these ballot boxes are then put into a courier bag and transferred to the IEC. Counting does not happen at these polling stations. Explain what's going to happen tonight.
Okay, at wrap up, we, in the presence of the observers, we're going to close the boxes, we're going to seal them, and then we're going to put them to be couriered to South Africa.
Some concerns have been expressed about these two envelopes, right? There's envelope A, which is an unmarked envelope, and I'll show that to our viewers in a bit. And then there's an envelope B, in which you put envelope A, but you have to include your ID number, your name, and your voting district. Just explain why the IEC has chosen to do that.
Okay, that is for ease of counting when they count the votes. But some voters were concerned because they thought it's exposing, especially envelope B, that is being used as a bigger envelope to put the smaller one, envelope A. They say them putting their names and identity, they feel that it's not safe. They feel that maybe it's not secret. Anyone can see that this person have voted, but forgetting that we are not allowed to open the envelope, so we will not know what is inside. We will not know what they vote for.
And the IEC has come back to us and said, look, this is to ensure that there's no voter fraud, that voters don't vote twice. And the first thing that happens when they receive the votes at Pretoria's headquarters of the IEC is that they check the identified envelope, but then they remove the ballot and put it in another ballot box, which will then be counted in the national vote. So the vote remains a secret, essentially.
It is a secret because when the voter receives the ballot paper, they also receive envelope A. Themselves, they will seal envelope A while they cast their vote. After they do that, they will come and they will put into a bigger envelope, which is envelope B. They will seal it in front of the observers and the IEC staff.
How are you feeling, Mavis? It's been a long day for you. A few more hours to go. You okay?
I think because of the excitement, we are feeling strong. The tiredness will be tomorrow. We'll feel it tomorrow.
All right, Mavis Watley, thank you so much. She's in charge of monitoring the electoral process here. Of course, a vice consul here at the mission of the Consulate General. Let me just explain to you what is really a very simple process here. Once you have checked your documents at the front entrance of the consulate, you come here, they verify that your name is on the IEC list that has been sent here. As we mentioned earlier, during an earlier crossing, we have party agents behind me from the Democratic Alliance, but I also want to point out that there are party agents here from the Economic Freedom Front, a party as well. No ANC observers, party agents here today, but they were here the last time. And as you can see, there are voters walking around here, casting their ballots. This is an active voting station. We're pretty much getting in the way here, so we apologize to those voters. They then come over here, and this is the first envelope I was referring to earlier, Lulu. This is envelope A, in which you will then place your ballot. There are 48 parties to choose from the African Security Congress at the top to the African Renaissance Unity Party. 48 parties. You make your X in the private voting booths behind me, 3 of them over here. As you can see, we are not seeing those long lines that you see in The Hague and places like London, where there are over 9,000 voters registered. And then they go and, as you can see the process unfolding here behind me, they get a second envelope, envelope B, in which they put envelope A, and this is where some confusion has emerged about having to put your identity document, a number, and your name and voting station. So a fairly simple process. The IEC, of course, going to pains to explain that the vote will remain a secret. This is merely to ensure that once those ballots are received at IEC headquarters in Pretoria, that they are able to confirm that voters abroad voted only once, didn't vote twice, that there's no fraudulent balloting, and then the envelope, the unmarked envelope, is removed from envelope B and placed into a ballot box where they are included in a secret vote count. So, Lulu, that pretty much sums it up for you. Let me just quickly give you some numbers. There are 605 registered voters in New York. There are 360 at the embassy in Washington, D.C., 223 at the consulate in Chicago, and later today in Los Angeles, 283 voters will make their mark. Of course, LA, 3 hours behind us here, so about 10 hours or 9 hours behind South Africa. So we'll be going late into the night here, Lulu.
Now, Sherwin, very quickly, before I let you go, I just wanted to find out about the voters who were registered but were not able to make their ballot today because of, I think there was some confusion with the VEC10 registration. Can you just take us through that? Were they able to vote or were they turned away?
As far as I've been told, there were about 2 voters who were turned away because their names did appear. They were registered, right? So you have proof of registration, which is one thing. But the second step for voters abroad is that they had to complete what is known as a VEC10 form, essentially a form that indicates to the Independent Electoral Commission that there's an intention to vote at a particular voting station abroad. That VEC10 form determines then that this person or persons or citizens of South Africa will not be voting where they are originally registered in South Africa, but will now be casting their ballots at a mission abroad. Some people did not follow the final step. Those VEC10 forms only became available once President Ramaphosa had promulgated the election date. And then for, I think, a 2 or 3 week period, those VEC10 forms were available online. And then you, as a potential voter, had to make the effort, go online and fill this extra step out. This is not a step that people who are voting back in South Africa have to do. And I think that's where some of the confusion might have come from. But a minority of people have been turned away. The vast majority of people that followed all those steps have certainly been able to vote today.
Sherwin, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure. That is our correspondent, SABC correspondent in New York, Sherwin Bryce-Pease, just giving us an update of the election and voting that took place today at the consulate in New York.